Hafday and good morning to you and to the people of Guam. Today is May 8th, 2023. This roundtable hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, Chairman of the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power, and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance. This hearing is called to order and the time is now 9:04. For the record and to comply with the open government law, notice of this hearing was disseminated via email to all senators and local media outlets on Friday, April 28, 2023, and second notice was all shared to all senators and local media on Friday, May 5th, 2023. Notice of this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website and the Government of Guam Public Notice portal. Individuals testifying shall be recognized by the chair. Before speaking, state your name for record-keeping purposes. This morning, we will discuss Bill number 9-37 COR. I just want to put on the record that we did a public hearing on this bill back in March. It was March 14, 2023, and this is what prompted this roundtable hearing today, which was requested by the Guam Fire Department and some of my colleagues present during that public hearing. This morning, the committee will hear testimony and discussion on Bill 9-37 COR, an act to amend subsection 58-109 and subsection 58-110 of Chapter 58, adding a new Chapter 58B to Title 10, Division 3, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the legalization and regulation of use of consumer-grade fireworks. Introduced by Dwayne T. Nicolas, Joe S. Agustin, Roy Quinata, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, William A. Parkinson, Therese M. Terlaje, Jesse A. Lujan, and Thomas J. Fisher. I would like to welcome my colleagues who are joining us today, Senator Dwayne Nicolas and Senator Tom Fisher. Thank you for being here. We will now proceed with discussions on Bill 9-37 COR, which I will allow the prime sponsor to give his opening remark. Senator Dwayne, you're recognized.
Morning, gentlemen. Thank you all for showing up again. It's been a long time for me, and really what I just wanted to do was, bring back my childhood for other kids to enjoy it the same way, and hopefully build memories with their father, their dads who have done what my dad has done, and just to enjoy fireworks. I just want to kind of like give this to the people. I kind of work like in increments, little pieces of successes. So hopefully when this happens, and we can make other good things happen for the people of Guam. Thank you for coming again.
We will now hear testimonies and discussion from those who joined us today. I will call on individuals based on how their names appear in order on the sign-in sheet. And first, I'd like to recognize Joey Nicolas of GFD. Go ahead, sir, and please introduce yourself.
Hey, Senator Parkinson, Senator Nicolas, and Senator Fisher, thank you for having us here, and everybody else that's joined us here at this roundtable discussion. I am the acting fire chief, Joey Nicolas, firefighter for 28 years, and the actual deputy fire chief for the Guam Fire Department. I did bring along with me my team, and they'll each introduce themselves, but these are our subject matter experts within the Guam Fire Department, all with many years of experience in code enforcement, credentialed fire officers, chief fire officers, that can provide some professional discussion about this particular subject. I will say overall, though, as the Guam Fire Department and the fire service as a whole, we are also, from a safety aspect and the resources needed to respond, fire services across the nation, to include us, we're on board. We are very hesitant to support this effort, right? And particularly for the safety standpoint, right? Now, that being said, there are over 46 states that do authorize and legalize fireworks. And with the fire department's input for those particular states and counties, and if we are going to do this for the island of Guam and its people, we just want to be here as your stewards of the fire service to make sure that we do it right, make sure that it fits Guam, And if we can, maybe slow it down just a little bit and do this incrementally as we implement this law so that we can truly determine numbers and stats and whether it's the right thing for our island over time. So with that said, that's our general statement and general position. But again, we are here to not impede the process. We want to help support the process and make it right for our island and make it fit for our department. So thank you very much for having us here today.
All right. I'd like to open up the floor to my colleagues to ask Mr. Fire Chief Nicolas any questions. Senator Fisher, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, thank you. Morning, Chief. You said that you would prefer kind of a slow rollout, incremental. Could you tell us how to do that?
Well, Senator, if you would oblige me, I'd like to introduce my designated fire marshal for many years, and recently moved to another bureau. But this is Assistant Fire Chief Dwayne, well versed in the fire code enforcement. My current fire marshal, head of our fire prevention bureau, Assistant Fire Chief Tom Tatalta, and then our ops chief for our fire prevention bureau, Battalion Chief Ron Castro. As a whole, they will help me answer a lot of these things. So if I may, when you pose a question, I'd like to allow my SMEs to help me answer the question. Sure. So to start off, what we're talking about is the bill as it's written, just carte blanche allows for consumer fireworks. There are states that have considered time periods throughout the year that are significant to those particular counties. Right off the bat, we think of New Year's. For us, July 4th and July 21st. So, that's one way we can maybe slow it down just to see how Guam reacts to all of this. That being said, nefarious intent, that's going to happen. It's already happening. People have fireworks it's against the law to have it. But if we can do this right and then maybe help the Guam Fire Department get resources for it, then it also, it's a good thing in my opinion from that standpoint. So yeah, that's what we mean by maybe a slow rollout. Gentlemen, anything you want to add to that? Okay.
I was just going to ask Senator San Nicolas what he thinks about that. Specific times during the year, like Christmas, etc.
Thank you, Senator. So basically, or a couple months ago, we flew up to Saipan, and I was there with the Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker, and they shared with us, the concerns that they had throughout the years. One was storage, one was usage, one was sell, the other one was sell. So what they did was they kind of refined their fireworks law through the years. When they first started, they just kind of like free for all, like what the bill is right today. But then they started to go into transportation. So fire folks would follow the container from the ship to the storage, and the other one was proper storage of the items. And then there was another one where everybody had, how they have the, during graduation, they have these things where everybody's selling lays on the side of the road. Well, that's how it was in Saipan. So they stopped that. And what they did was they made it so that when you're going to sell fireworks, it had to be on, on a roof, under a roof, an establishment where there was proper permitting and everything. So those are the things that, maybe we can add into the bill, so that way we can properly, because it would kill me if anybody got hurt. It really would. And I'm pretty sure it would do that same to everybody. So I'm really, really trying to make sure that whatever it is we're doing, it's, safe for everybody. But I guess we can go back and forth on those main topics, if you guys would like to speak on it. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
At this moment, I'd like to recognize my colleague, Senator Tello Taitigui. Welcome, and thank you for coming to this conversation today. when I think about fireworks, I think about my own time working in fire. And generally, the way it was, we'd work throughout May and June until we got a fire call before we go out to our first roll. But there would be some seasons that it'd be a little bit hard to get out on that first fire. But like clockwork, when 4th of July rolled around, we were going to have some work. And, as one of the sponsors of this, I go in this with the full knowledge that there is going to be more fires and there is going to be more injuries. From a public safety standpoint, truly and truly, the safest thing for the community is no fireworks. But we have to balance what is safe for the community against the cause of freedom, I'm an American and I'm a Filipino, and in both cultures, we celebrate with fireworks. And yeah, every time people get hurt, and every time I would expect nothing less from you guys than to tell us this is a bad idea. But part of being free Americans is we have the freedom to go do things that are not necessarily the best for us. I like to go have a big old burger and a fatty soda and suck all that down, and I know that's not good to me, but that's freedom. Sometimes we do stuff that's not good for us. And I kind of think about fireworks in this same vein. It's fun, but what I really want to figure out from you guys is, say we do legalize fireworks and we do see this influx of extra work during this time period. What I need to know from you guys is, what do we need in terms of budget for you guys to make it so that you could handle this extra work in an orderly fashion? We know the spike is coming, so what do you guys need in terms of extra resources so that you can handle that spike?
For this type of activity, and anytime there's enforcement involved, money's involved, we just want to make sure that we're able to recoup our cost, especially personnel, and it's going to be an increased workload. And what we want to do, because this is new, we're proposing that maybe we, like Chief said, maybe we just do with a slow rollout. And maybe for the first year, just so we can gauge, we know that that's probably going to be the year that's probably going to have the most accidents because it's the first time out. But if we could track those numbers and then track the second year, and then after that, maybe perhaps a year-round sale of this, but at the beginning, maybe we should just start with those 3 holidays, the 4th, the 21st, and New Year's. That's what we're proposing, because this is new to us as well. There's going to be a lot of, once people hear about this, there's going to be a lot of people trying to bring in their own fireworks, and that's going to get out of control. We're proposing a wholesaler, limit it to a certain number. What that number is, we'll let the legislature decide on that. But what we have here in front is just some proposed amendments to the bill. When I think about the CBD licenses, I think there was like 30 or something like that. I'm not sure how they did that, but we don't want 30 wholesalers on island. We want a small amount and let the retailers buy from these wholesalers, because with the wholesalers we're able to control the storage area and not have 30 storages throughout the island. That's a high risk for us. So limit that number. We're proposing 4 or 5. We're also so it'll be a wholesale license, and then you've got the retailer license for the different stores and what have you. So we're proposing that seasonal sales to start off maybe the first year, and just track the number of injuries and the severity of the injuries. You want to be able to track that. go on to the next year and track that. And my guess is that it'll come down. People will start to hear that there's injuries that have happened, and they're going to be even more careful. So I think if we do that, seasonal sales, we're proposing, because the bill doesn't address the retailer side, and we just don't want a retailer or anybody going over to the reseller and saying, I'll take your entire container. Yeah, we don't want that. So we want to put an amount. We're proposing, at least using the NFPA standard, about 125 pounds for the retailer. And then you just, because it's only going to be sold 3 times a year, you just refill, you just go get some more from the distributor as you need, as opposed to having an entire warehouse behind, Soul Market, an entire warehouse filled with fireworks. So we're proposing that. And we want to define also and distinguish between a wholesaler and a distributor. We want some of that language put in. Retail, booth operator. We didn't talk about fees. So what we did was we looked at the fees of other jurisdictions. And the 2 main things that we tried to go off was cost of living comparable to Guam, and then the form of revenue that is predominant in those locations comparable to Guam. So on Guam, it's military and tourism, right? So we tried to look in areas of the United States who has military and tourism, and try to copy. There's really no need to reinvent the wheel here, because there's like over 46 states, like Chief said, that are allowing this. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We just want to see what works and try that and adjust as we go. So that, we want to include fees, and we want to make it lucrative for the consumer, right? As well as the wholesaler and the retailer, as well as we want to be able to manage, put out some public education stuff, especially during those times that it's going to go on sale. We want to be able to put out some public announcements about things to be careful and stuff like that. So we want to establish some fees there. We have an idea of it, and we can go back and forth and find the right number. But make no mistake, fireworks is going to be a very lucrative opportunity. So I think if we can make it a win all the way around, I think that'd be great, especially for us with the enforcement side. We're struggling with manpower right now, but we're in the process of hiring more. And I think as we get more personnel, we're going to get better at this. So we got the different fees for the retailer, the distributor. We also want to talk about violations, because I don't know if the law specifically talks about revocation of licenses for a period. It's kind of like how public works does public health does their stuff, right? You fix it, you correct it, and then you get it back. Maybe after 3 strikes, you lose it for a year or so. We want to also be able to identify safe distances, right? I mean, we just don't want this, right in front of your house, right? So safe distances from structures and stuff like that. And then a fund. We want to make sure those funds, because we want to do enforcement and we want to do education. And then maybe after this thing goes through, we can discuss, we'll keep stats on the number of injuries, types of injuries, that nature. And we can revisit this, and as we go year after year, maybe we can do a year-round sale.
So if I could just add, especially on the penalty side of the house, and really it's just to enforce compliance. Obviously, it's only going to apply to those that are non-compliant. So to kind of further explain what we're proposing is that it'd be no less than 10% of whatever the fee or the license is going to be to actually go into this business, but not less than $1,000 for any first offense. Second offense, up to 5,000, no less than 1,000, and then third offense is, as it's written, revocation for a 12-month period, suspension for a year, and then an increased price to the penalty. And then, of course, with the specific section, and if you're looking at the bill, I'm talking about page 9 of this bill, lines 12 through 27, and then the following page on page 10. So, and then with a separate, to your question, Senator Parkinson, about what's it going to cost, our operations, part of our operations does come out of our special fund, the Flame Fund. And to ensure that within this bill, possibly on page 10, a separate section that specifically states that all fees and fines relative to the enforcement of fireworks and the permitting of fireworks be sent into our Flame Fund to support operations specific to this bill. And of course, that's subject to your appropriation every year in the budget, right? So to answer that question about what's it going to cost us. We don't know what the cost is going to be. We do have already our operations cost, and our annual budget is, 90% of it is personnel costs easily. So we would probably come to the table in front of you to ask for a higher appropriation for operations overall. Not just our code enforcers, but as well as, those that respond to, such as our fire trucks and the ambulances, the EMS side of the house, and rescue. And I do want to throw in, I see some fellow stakeholders within the government. Customs is going to need training for the importation of fireworks to regulate that. GPD is going to need some support responding to incidents where fireworks are happening. So that's an extra load on them as well. Just want to kind of put it out there. I don't want to be selfish to only talk about Guam Fire. This is a Gov Guam whole problem, right? So, or a whole issue that we need to address. So I just want to throw those kind of pieces in there.
Chief, who would do you recommend that the fire department conduct the auction for licenses, or rev and tax, or?
Yeah, I think that's a rev and tax function. It would be anything when it comes to business licenses. So yeah, right. There's another agency that should be supported when it comes to this, and some regulation to help them with their general orders or SOPs or whatever they have as far as rev and tax. They would be the ones. Yeah.
Before we continue, I just want to recognize my colleague, Senator Roy Quinata. Please, thank you for coming. And if either of you guys have questions, feel free to just jump in. We're going to do it real informal today.
Roundtable.
Yeah,
That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead. So.
Thank you, Senator Parkinson and Mr. Chair. Appreciate everyone being here. Even in Fred Berdallo, feel free, Fred, if you want to bring up a chair. If you want to come up and you provided extensive testimony, and appreciate your time. Customs, GPA, rev and tax, they all need to be funded, as well. You're absolutely right with that. With the Attorney General that's here, or not the Attorney General, but Assistant Attorney General. You're here representing the Attorney General, okay.
Yeah, actually, can we just hold on for a second?
Yeah.
Let's just go around the table and have everybody introduce
Okay,
themselves.
thank you.
So if anybody needs to pipe up, we could all just speak freely. So let's start from down there and work our way across the table. Go ahead, yes, sir.
Actually, with all due respect, can I have my dad introduce himself first, and then I'll...
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, good morning, everybody, honorable senators and chiefs. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jeff Sanchez. I'm the owner of Showpro Pyrotechnics. We've been providing fireworks, professional fireworks displays on the island for over 10 years now, and I've got over about 15 years of training in different countries to shoot professional fireworks displays, and that's what we do. We also provide other entertainment resources for Guam, for concerts, for plays, we've done a multitude of things, and we're here to ensure that our island stays safe, beautiful, and I think this is a very important bill, and that's what we're here for this morning. Thank you. And this is my son, Jeffrey, sorry. And
Hi. Oh, sorry. My name is Jeff, Jeffrey Sanchez. I'm the son of also Jeffrey Sanchez, but I also, he's also my boss. So if, whatever decisions he makes, that's who I support. But I'm also here as as a citizen of Guam. Guam is a place that I was born and raised from. So I really respect the sentiments that are shared by our senators and then also our fire department. I am listening very intently, not only from, a person that's been doing explosives for almost a decade, but even for our younger generation. I see myself as, if it sounds like this bill is good already. So if it does, I have to think quickly and I have to adapt in terms of my responsibilities and my obligations for our community. That's my #1 priority. So in terms of safety, in terms of regulations, in terms of even just being hesitant in approaching this bill, because we're not just talking about anything. We're not just talking about things we do on a daily basis, like food or drinks and things like that. We're talking about dangerous goods, explosives, and they're to be treated with a lot of respect and a lot of discipline. So my ears are very open to this roundtable discussion, and I'm looking forward to us as a community working on this together. Yeah.
Good morning, Senators, everybody. Battalion Chief Ron Castro. I'm the Operations Chief for the Fire Prevention Bureau.
Good morning. Assistant Chief Tom Tetanta. I am the Bureau Chief for the Division of Fire Prevention Bureau.
Chief Benavente, Guam Fire Department.
Good morning, Buenos Senators. Graham Botha, Deputy Attorney General, Civil Division, appearing on behalf of the AG, Douglas Moylan.
Hello, good morning. Half a day. My name is Tom Nadeau. I am representing the Department of Public Health and Social Services.
Mananasitu'as, Christine Camacho Farron from the Guam Department of Agriculture. I'm the Forestry and Soil Resources Division Chief, so I'll be representing natural resources and our forest resources in particular.
Okay. Guess we'll just, Mr. Chair, you want to recognize?
Didn't see you there. And I'd like to recognize my colleague, Senator Joseph Agustin. Welcome. Thank you for being here, sir.
Okay. So to the Attorney General's office, I have a question with regards to fines, penalties, fines, license. Like firearms, it's not just the penalty. There could be criminal charges as well. We know that firearms are very dangerous. We also know that fire is very dangerous. Homes being burnt and just... Anyways, are there any jurisdictions that you're aware of that if anybody abuses this, it's not just fines, but it could be also done criminally, like a misdemeanor or like that?
Senator, we'd have to get back to you on the specific jurisdictions, but for the 46 states that have that, I'm sure there are not only penalties and fines, but there would be misdemeanors or felonies even, depending upon the abuse, and obviously if something came out of it, in other words, they're storing the fireworks illegally, without a permit, I mean, that would be a problem in itself anyways.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. So I'd hope that, in this roundtable, we can look at those, not just penalties and fines, but also criminal actions as well to put on it, The other question I have real quick, and then is, before, let someone else ask, regarding sparklers, let's say you wanted to go slow, right? You talked about rolling out slowly, starting with, 4th to 21st and the 1st. What about even slowing it even more down to like certain type of fireworks, like, the firecrackers where you're like, da, 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 and sparklers, something as light as that. I mean, I know it's still just as dangerous, but are they also measured as far as weight? Because you said that only putting out a certain amount of weight to these retailers. What was the weight that you said? 125 pounds? Okay. Would that include like sparklers and, the regular firecrackers like that? You would count those as weight, right? You were not talking about the heavy-duty ones that we see on Liberation and stuff, right? That would be counted as weight. Okay.
Ma'am, if I may, there's no classification as regular firecracker.
Okay.
They're classified as consumer fireworks, 1.4 class. That's the
Okay.
explosive class.
Yeah, that's good to know because, you need to get those regular crackers, the long...
Yeah, but again, I just
you
want
know?
to emphasize that there's no regular fireworks. It's 1.4 explosives.
Okay.
So in terms of rolling out slow, and make no mistake, I don't want to minimize the dangers of any fireworks because you can easily take the sparkler or what you're calling regular firecracker, take out the product inside and create a much more powerful explosive.
Yeah,
So-
when it's all built
Yes,
together.
ma'am.
Yeah, together.
Yes.
Understand.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, so everything should be just measured by weight then, explosive weight. Okay.
Yeah, so the bill actually does a great job of defining the 1.4 as well as 1.3 for the professional grade. And it's almost word for word out of the ATF definition of this. So there's also, I just want to state for the record, or at least state it here, that this would be a joint jurisdiction when we're talking about enforcement and criminal penalties and so forth.
Yeah.
ATF has a role in this as well when it comes to jurisdiction over these things.
ATF?
Yes.
Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms.
Thank you. ATF
Senator,
Bureau.
if I may, while we're on the
Yeah,
subject of
sure,
weight
sure.
also, so one of the things that my company is required to do when we do displays in the military is to give an account of the net explosive weights that we are bringing in onto base. And for a typical 10-minute display, that weight is usually about 120 pounds of net explosive weights. Now, the Explosives Ordnance Department at each base, what they do is they create a visual of an arc of what that would happen if that 125 pounds of net explosive weights were to go off. And their measurement on about 125 pounds is about 2,000 to 3,000 feet of devastation in every direction. Just to give you guys an idea of what 125 pounds of net explosive weights can do in the wrong capacity. Now, I'm not saying that, all of these firecrackers will go off at one time and create this arc, but that is the extreme. So we have to know and respect what we're dealing with when we talk about gunpowder, because essentially that's the essence of this whole thing. And I'm glad that Chief Manabusan alluded to, these can be dissected and reused to create other things. In the extreme case, Boston bombing, all came from consumer fireworks, safe and sane. Those are dissected, put into improvised bomb, and as a result, fatalities. Just wanted to, kind of make sure we understand what we're dealing with here, especially
Okay.
with weight considerations.
If I may, Senators, I did bring a testimony from the Department of Agriculture, but I just wanted to add, thank you, fire chiefs for representing the risk and the reality here. What I wanted to also make sure that we've included is the investigation work necessary. We've moved into the storage, the lucrative industry that we have here, violations, safety distances, funds, but under enforcement, we also need to make sure that the investigation side of the house is staffed. Currently, your Guam Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Soil Resources Division delivers the wildland fire training for the island to include wildland fire investigation training. This is origin and determination. And in fact, coincidentally, we have on May 22nd through the 26th, our third round of wildland fire investigation training. We invite all of our partners across the Guam Fire Department, the Department of Defense, Joint Region Marianas, Anderson Air Force Base, CNMI Fire, to include Palau has been invited now, and they're trying to determine who they'll be sending. For years, we have said fires are a major issue. Even today, we are still battling the misinformation that's out there that wildfires occur naturally on Guam. They do not occur naturally here. Our wildfires on Guam are human-caused ignitions. This is a fact, and I just wanted to share, I mean, for years, we've been generating fact sheets, Guam-based, island-based fact sheets with our fire history data, occurrences, and frequency. And in the more recent years, as of 2020, we are now doing investigations. And of the investigations conducted, you don't hear them in the public because they are ongoing. But we can say that they have been human-caused ignitions, intentional, and the rare occurrence of an accidental. What we are talking about when we look at this bill is putting devices, more devices in the hands of community. And I'm not saying that everyone out there is an arsonist, but there are mistakes. And a good number of our wildfires on Guam are caused by the accidental escape of backyard fires. Joy, the joy of playing with fireworks, very much can be a lead right into a number of intentional or accidental escaped fires. So I do have testimony from the department. We did email it. I emailed to include all of the fact sheets that we've generated. There are still some other draft forms, but these are some good ones that we've shared over the years, and I wasn't sure if this legislature has had a chance to see or review any of those fact sheets. And it does cover that, if you weren't aware, 4.5% of our island burns on an annual basis. That's more than 8,000 acres a year on average. So that's not even the high or the low, that is the average. And when you look at the rest of the nation, to include international and national partners, our numbers are over the top. Our averages are over the top. And that is with a law that was sound and good to begin with. Now we insert, with already the top of the market in numbers as far as fire risk and fire danger and occurrence, and we add fireworks back into the menu of fun. I truly believe this would be, I can't even say hazard as being strong enough. Right now, in wildland fire, we have had firefighter injury. We do not have a burn clinic here. We have firefighters that still do not have all of the equipment and supplies that they need. The Guam Forestry Division has funded for 2 grant cycles PPEs only to outfit 1 uniform per firefighter for southern and northern stations on Guam. Unfortunately, we had an issue, and the first wave of uniforms only showed up with shirts. I had to kick back the pants. But we have funded, but that's not enough. A firefighter gets, 1 uniform, one set of wildland gear, and in your forestry team, you only have 7 active wildland firefighters. We're all investigators, so you get that. But as far as active suppression, Chief Nicolas said it beautifully once years ago, and I take it every time. He says the Guam Fire Department takes the defensive line in regard to wildland fire, and forestry takes the offensive. I loved it. I quote it all the time. That is the case. We are talking about community and safety and community and having the assets. One, they must be equipped. They must be equipped. But then people disregard or forget. They break the connection of how very important those natural resources really are and how much we lose on an average basis. So I grew up with fireworks and gunfire and everything. I don't think it's ever changed. There's still fireworks on the street. There's still gunfire every year. In fact, we don't go out anymore because of all of the above. So I just want to voice another voice of caution from your natural resource agencies and partners. We are tasked with the daunting mission of protecting all of Guam's natural resources. And with our mission for Guam green growth and growing sustainably, how many more farms do we have to see burned from arson fires? How many more properties do we have to protect from encroaching wildland fire before people really start looking at wildland fire as a major issue, the #1 threat to our community and natural resources? So there is testimony, but I think I jumped on here, and thank you for the time, and here for any questions. And I can pass these around, but please know that they have been emailed to you, Chairperson, And
Mr. Chair, can I actually hear we heard from fire, they provide their testimony. Can I hear from the Department of Agriculture's testimony? Maybe we might have even more
Yeah,
questions.
sure. Let's go, since we got you on the
Yeah.
floor, go ahead and give
Let's
your
hear
testimony.
your testimony. Yeah.
All right. So we accidentally printed it in like Willy Wonka size paper, and then now it's like really tiny on this sheet. So bear with me. Huffaday Senator Parkinson and everyone at the table, thank you for the opportunity to provide written testimony on Bill number 9-37 Core, an act to amend subsection 58109 and subsection 58110 of Chapter 58, and adding a new Chapter 58B to Title 10, Division 3, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the legislation and regulation of the use of consumer-grade fireworks. The bill is oppositional to Guam's Forest Action Plan, which is the federally approved state action plan. The Guam Forest Action Plan describes wildfires as a top threat to our forests and natural resources. Approximately 4.5% of total land area has burned annually on Guam from 2015 to 2022. That was our active fire mapping program. The proposed amendments will not only do nothing to support reducing our wildfire risk, but instead increase the potential for danger at a time when public safety lacks the necessary personnel to staff at full capacity to meet our current needs with regard to wildfire. Our current law, as is, has been applauded by fire partners across national and international boundaries. We may not have Guam data regarding fireworks, which can be directly attributed to the efficacy and impact of our current law, but we do have fire occurrence and frequency data. The fire community across national and international networks have provided sound data that we would be ill-advised to disregard and counterintuitive to our local efforts to keep our community safe. The Guam Fire Department has done a great job sharing over the years international you've shared all the information. Jurisdictions have prohibited the use of fireworks due to high risk of ignition of vegetation, and this has provided significant safety benefits to their communities by removing these fireworks. We would be going backwards in our prevention efforts. To ignore partner data is to literally turn a blind eye to the facts, the science, and best available data. We do not have naturally occurring wildfires in Guam. All of our Guam's wildfires are human-caused. Currently, we have a team of 7 wildland firefighters for Guam, 7 team members tasked with reforestation projects, in addition to protecting Guam's forests, soil, and water from wildfires. When the Guam Fire Department is focused on protecting life and property on Guam, your forestry division is the only other team protecting our natural resources for the people of Guam. The Department of Defense partners are terrific, but their assets deploy when DoD property is at risk. We, your Guam Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Soil Resources Division, and your Guam Fire Department are tasked with responding and investigating fires, and our teams are sorely in need of staffing. Please consider, when all of Guam's wildfires are human-caused, how much easier your decision will make placing an incendiary device, a safe and sane firework, as another obstacle we need to deal with in order to protect Guam's ridges to reefs. With respect, we understand the draw, the emotion tied to the memories of fireworks and celebration, but we can continue to have those memories under the existing controlled and regulated celebrations we currently rely upon. We understand that for many in our community, this is tied to simple, clear fun. But when certain types of fun also pose true and substantial risks to our island's delicate jungle habitat and our community's access to clean reefs and healthy fish ecosystems, then we must leave the fun behind, and as is the responsibility of all those tasked with protecting our island, which is all of us here today, we must maintain the responsible path. Should you have any questions regarding this testimony, please don't hesitate to contact myself or Director Chelsea Muña. Thank you.
Christine, you mentioned something earlier that there are no burn units, clinics. Maybe public health might even chime in. Do you know if there's any burn units on Guam?
I can't speak.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the entire the health clinics on island, I'm not aware of any such trauma
Okay,
clinic or burn
maybe
clinic.
fire? Are there any burn units on island?
I can speak on that.
Yes, please.
Guam does not have a burn center.
A burn center. So if someone is badly burned from fireworks, there's no place to go. Well, even in regular fires, there's really.
That's right. If they receive serious burns, it's detrimental. In line with that, I want to say that these are based on national stats. We have upwards of 20,000 reported fires each year as a result of consumer fireworks. Those are the states that are legalizing that it's legal. 19% of the injuries are eye injuries, 15% to the head, 4% to the arm, 28% to the hands and fingers, the trunks, 10%, legs, 24%. And by the age numbers, ages 0 to 4, 7% account for those injuries. 5 to 9-year-olds, 10% of the injuries. From 10 to 14, 19%. And then from age 15 to 19, 12%. And 20 to 24, 10%. 25 to 44 is 34%. And 45 to 65 is 8%. And that's us in here. So basically the 45 to, except for Jeff.
Do you have any, we have fireworks that are going off. We all know that. I mean, Haget has probably the largest when it comes to fireworks going off. So we know it's getting through. So that's why I'm surprised Customs is not here today and GPD is not here today, because who answers to that, you know, when they see them go off. But what about from the burns that are happening now, from the fireworks that are going off today? Have we had any injuries happen on Guam from those illegal fireworks that are going on now? And how do we treat them?
Yeah, so to your earlier question, and I just wanted for the listening audience in particular, we do have at the minimum level 3 hospital care on Guam that can handle burns even up to 3rd degree in the emergency room setting. Of course, the long rehab part, which is normally where a burn center truly is that's their mission, is the long-term recovery piece of it. We probably would have to do off-island, just like anything else with our healthcare standards here on Guam. So to respond to immediate burn trauma and to treat it appropriately, the Guam Fire Department, we have the right tools and certifications and training to address that, to respond to it. Our 3 medical treatment facilities, military, GMH, and our private hospital, GRMC, all have the capability, their emergency rooms, to handle burns in the emergency room setting. But that long-term care is with that burn center. So I just want to, don't want the listening audience to think that and panic that we're not ready for that in particular. As far as injuries are concerned, yes, there are reports of injuries. We don't have specific numbers for you, and I know Senator San Agustin asked about that in the last public hearing. A lot of it is for HIPAA reasons. We don't discuss in particular, but I can tell you just this past New Year's, I know of one particular individual whose hand, a local person whose hand was blown off, not off, but some fingers, lost a finger or two. So, and these are illegal fireworks, right? So, again, just like anything else, as Senator Will has stated, and learning, and Christine, great testimony, a partner in everything that we do in response. I always admire her for her passion and her way of saying things, but not to give a defeatist perception of this from my standpoint, but it appears that this is something that the people are wanting, right? Our position here is, if this is the case, then we need to do it right. We need to make sure that we consider all these aspects, make sure that we're properly resourced to hit this from a holistic, everything from the lighting of fireworks to the after effects of it, whether it's medical or investigations, as Christine eloquently stated. So, again, I know we're here to talk about making sure this bill is right, and I just hope that you understand that point of view from us. But again, as I stated when we first started, from a safety and resources to response standpoint, yeah, we, as a fire service, we are against it. We follow the trend of the nation, but we also recognize that 46 states do legalize it, and if we're going to do that, let's do it right. So, thank you.
Tom, you were going to say something about the statistics or any he was about to say.
Thank you very much, Senator. So, as you know, or the body is aware, the Department of Public Health did submit a written testimony on Bill 9, where we provided data, information, and recommendations about fireworks to assist the legislature and make an informed decision of the proposed legislation. So we provided federal data. In fact, the GFD just provided some of the same data information. We wanted local data as well, so we made an inquiry internally for EPI team and ER, and we could not find any local data on any injuries related to fireworks, and we believe that's because it's simply not readily available, so that's probably the reason why no data such exists. And public health, we are supportive of any action or inaction that, of course, promotes health and that prevents injuries, death, and diseases. Thank you.
May I ask, like, what is the problem with getting like local data? Because we're talking about having a trial period so we can collect data, but what happens if we do the trial period and we can't collect any local data? So what do we need to do on our end to make sure that you guys can get the data that you need?
Right. So I work for the Division of Environmental Health, not Division of Public Health. Our colleagues at the Division of Public Health, they are the entity that receives notifiable diseases. Now, whether that extends to injuries, I do not know. I cannot speak for them. But I can say that based on the comments I've heard from my colleagues of Division of Public Health, receiving timely and accurate information from the physicians has been a challenge. Like I said, I can't speak for them, but I assume that maybe enforcement or need for enforcement is necessary. But going back to the comments about data, we, on our own, environmental health, we made inquiries to find out if there's any emergency data specific to fireworks injuries. We're not able to obtain any. We're not certain because it simply does not exist, it's not reported, or because of the fact that that's rare because fireworks, consumer-grade fireworks are just not available because, if I'm not mistaken, it's illegal. So that's probably the reason why.
The Guam Fire Department does keep data from our emergency responses, either through our 911 center or through our various reporting systems, which is NFIRS, the National Fire Incident Reporting System, or NEMSIS, which is the Emergency Medical System reporting system. And for Guam, I could confidently tell you that when it comes to injuries such as whether it's a falling bullet from during New Year's or illegal fireworks, that we average somewhere around 10 injuries a year or per holiday, if you want to do it. Tom is right that a lot of it is unreported because we do find that they either take care of it themselves because they know they were messing with illegal fireworks and they don't want to go to the hospital and report that, or they might say a different reason of why they've gotten injured, not to admit to using illegal fireworks or firing off weapons during New Year's, right? So that's that piece, right?
Hey,
but I can
Chief,
tell you.
I'm sorry, are a lot of those injuries alcohol-related as well?
I couldn't answer that question professionally, Senator. We just only go by the injury itself. We leave that part out. We would note it, though, but we do have the reporting systems. Okay.
May I add something, Senator?
Yeah.
So,
please feel free
like
to
I
jump
said,
in.
I went up to Saipan a couple months ago, and at first, when they first introduced when they first had fireworks, they just had it out there open freely. But when I was up there, I spoke to the Speaker of the House, the Lieutenant Governor, and a lot of the people, because what I wanted to do, because we share the same similarity, culture, landscape, just about everything we share about the same demographics. And they over time improve their fireworks laws. So, maybe over time, we can do this, we can try to find a way, is what I'm trying to say. So maybe with fines and certain times, but when you're talking about data, I went up to Saipan, so that's why I wanted to mention that, because we're quite similar, and they still have fireworks, and they still enjoy it. And I walked into the store, somebody said 125 pounds, right? Can we make it 350 pounds? Because I'm 350 pounds. But I walked into the store and they had it all readily available. It was all there. And they were wondering where we were going to purchase. We're going to purchase it and bring it to display somewhere. We told them down by the beach. They said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because in Guam it's illegal." I said, "Wow, Guam is lame." But when we got to the beach, the first person I met was the Speaker of the House, and I was afraid to blow up the fireworks myself, so I got him to do it, and he lit it up and he threw it out, and it was spectacular. But we share the same demographics. I'm pretty sure we can find how they do it up there and just try to kind of like emulate it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
So the thing that all the testimony here has really highlighted for me is actually my big concern is actually coming from the other direction. Because for me, I don't see fireworks as a problem. I see fireworks as just something that has trade-offs and consequences. But what's really concerning for me is that I get the sense that our fire system is fragile enough that we can't withstand seasonal, we might have trouble withstanding seasonal fireworks. And, rather than, cutting off the fireworks, I think we need to address the root issue that our fire department needs some hardening in terms of manpower, equipment, and, just more support. And so, like you were speaking about you guys only having 7 wildland firefighters. When I had found that out and seen the numbers of fires you guys are achieving here, I mean, at minimum, you guys should be having 1 20-man, 1.5 crew. And so really, I think even if this bill were to not make it through the legislature, from the Ag Fire Department and you guys' fire department, just as an exercise, what resources do we need to give you so that you can withstand a weekend of fireworks? Because, a weekend of fireworks, we're all doing that for good fun, but in the long term, these are kind of dry runs for mass casualty events. What were to happen if Guam were to have some sort of God forbid, mass casualty event because of a war situation? How is our ambulance and our emergency services supposed to handle something like that if our systems are not hardened enough to even handle fireworks for a weekend?
Thank you, Senator, and I thank you for recognizing the need to beef up the fire department and our services. One of the things that's going to be required once this law comes into legalization is the testing of the fireworks to ensure that the 1.4s are actually in that threshold and are not at 1.3. And if it's 1.3, the Bureau of ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, they come into play, and then they're going to be violating some federal laws. So if fireworks are imported, especially from foreign countries, it has to be tested. There has to be random testing conducted. The Guam Fire Department does not have any labs to conduct those testings. So we're gonna need access to labs, those type of services. And then for the same token, if it's gonna be the Guam Fire Department that's gonna be doing that testing, we don't have that resource. And I do not know of any lab on Guam that does that type of testing. So that's gonna cost some money. It's not identified in the bill, so if it can be identified and who is gonna take charge of that. The Attorney General can have some purview into enforcement of that as well. When they take a look at whoever's going to be responsible for that testing. It is a federal regulation for any imported fireworks. So that'll help out if this bill, if it's going to be passed, then to make it a better law, then that also has to be addressed. Thank you.
What about Hawaii? We always try and take jurisdictions that are similar to Guam, right? So Hawaii, of course, it's legal in Hawaii, right? Did they come up with rules and regulations, to follow for both, customs, fire, public health, the ATF that you talked about? Do they have already that on the books in Hawaii?
Yes, Senator, and so for us, it's really the code. So our chapter, 10 GCA, chapter 73, subsection 73111, is our code enforcement statute that gives us the authority to use the international fire code and all the applicable regulations in there to enforce, in this particular to this, the fireworks and any explosives for that matter.
So do you think we should, maybe put additional rules and regs that instead of, usually when you have something this extreme, this big, even public health, always has to have these rules and regulations put together and placed in the GAR as well as codified. Do you think that we need to, beef up those in the Guam Code Annotated to mirror some of that instead of, or just have rules and regs put together and go through the AAA process, et cetera, down the line?
Yeah, so Senator, it's already in GCA, the statute, to follow the code, and the code has all the regulations. I think and I'm glad you mentioned that, what needs to be updated is our fees and fines. So the biggest problem that we have when it comes to the code is our enforcement, our capability to enforce the regs is minimized by the minimal fee and fines that are applied to the code. It's cheaper to just pay the penalty, or it's easier to just pay the penalty and still go on and violate. They illegally sell $1,000 worth of fireworks, but the fine right now is $100. So in that, net-wise, they still profit $900.
Yeah, but we're looking now at a certain, like the comments that you made, making an amendment to that. This sheet of requirements here, that's a whole new, set of rules and regs to be placed in the rules and regs. Yeah. Does the GAR also have verbiage in the GAR regarding fire? Not Guam Code Annotated, but the GAR.
Not to my recollection.
So the GAR has nothing?
Yeah, it defers to the fire code, and the fire code is
in the GAR.
Approved with the Code Council.
Because this is a lot of amendments that, might just have to go back to just doing a whole revision of the rules and regs. Because now we're dealing with, it being legal. So if that's the case, then we need to, but go ahead, Jeff, I know you're steady, please.
Well, while we're on the subject of Hawaii, and I'm glad you brought that up, you can easily find videos of even just last year, New Year's in Hawaii. It is out of control. I last spoke to an ATF agent when they came out to renew our license, and he told me, he said, Jeff, even down the block from his house is 1.3 illegal fireworks being imported and used, and there is nothing they can do. The reason why I'm opposed to this bill, senators, and I really, I enjoy fireworks. I also have recollection as a young person, but my recollection isn't as the same as yours because I got burned by fireworks. That's why I made it a profession to do it, professionally and do it safely for everybody else to enjoy. Now, getting back on the subject about Hawaii, this federal agent told me that, it's so out of control, they can't control it anymore. And what I'm afraid of for Guam is we're opening up a Pandora's box. The minute you start to legalize the small stuff, then the medium stuff starts coming, then the big stuff, and then pretty soon it's out of control. Watch a Hawaii YouTube video of last year and you'll see what I'm talking about. It is absolutely crazy because it's so unsafe. And the numbers are there as far as injuries. The numbers are there as far as fatalities and whatnot. You can look that all up. I'm not going to sit here and talk about numbers all day long, but the point is, we have a beautiful island. We really do, and I'm all for keeping it that way. I mean, there's not only the danger, and that's paramount, but there's also the aspect of debris. We do this stuff all the time, and the cleanup takes us hours and hours on one of our shows. Now I can imagine when it's in a neighborhood and being done by everybody, there's going to be trash everywhere, there's going to be fallout. I mean, there's just all these things that we don't see. It's all in the name of fun. I understand that. But again, there are certain things that people come to our island for, and that can be tainted by our idea of fun if we don't know what we're playing with. And when you play with fire, you get burned. That's a fact.
Sir, on your comment, does the law in Hawaii similar to the laws that we're introducing today, or is there something worse or short?
As I understand it, the laws in Hawaii are fireworks are just illegal. a consumer or a professional.
And it's out of control,
And
right?
it's out of control.
Okay, then it has nothing to do with this building. Thank you. Control. This bill puts control, okay? And I just want to make sure I stress that.
Illegal. It's
If it's
illegal.
illegal in Hawaii, then they lost control of their own community.
And
I don't think we've lost any control in our community because why? There is fireworks going on in Guam. There is a fire department that are responding and giving us a list. Let's work with what we got because we're trying to make sure there is control. And it doesn't get out of control.
I understand. In my statement, sir, I said, once you open up this avenue and legalize the small stuff, that's where I'm sure the big stuff is going to come in.
As easy as it is to open up, it's as easy as it is to close. This body can open it up today, and if we find out that there's a bunch of violations, then we just repeal the law and close it down.
I appreciate that.
There's a difference.
As well as the trial period that's being set forth. I really appreciate that because...
Yeah, we do a test run, and then we see from there, because if the people of Guam are going to be naughty, then shame on them. The fire department will respond, the forestry, everybody else will respond and tell us that
I'm
folks are
100%
just,
for that.
I'll go what? And we just shut it down. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, but then again, it's our responsibility that we don't have anyone hurt. We're sitting here ensuring that this trial is not going to kill somebody or burn somebody's house down too. So I think we need to be very cautious as moving forward on this, and taking other jurisdictions and using it, especially Hawaii, is a great example of what's going on. What is the name of that YouTube video you mentioned? Is it?
It's very easy to find. Just do Hawaii fireworks New Year's or 2022 or 23, and it's all over the place.
Fireworks?
It's viral.
Okay.
I mean, it's millions of views because I mean, it's bigger than Disney fireworks. Let's put it that way, because everybody.
Okay. Yep, I see it in Hawaii.
The horizon is.
I've been there several times in Hawaii, but they have a permit though. Some of these people have permit. They're allowed to. No, it's just.
It's
totally,
illegal. There are certain companies, and we work with the company that is licensed to do this, Hawaii Explosives. In fact, we have a very good working relationship with them, and they are not the ones that are bringing this stuff in and distributing it. That stuff comes in via container. Everybody knows about it. It disseminates, and then you have this crazy viral videos.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked if it was legal, because I've been to Hawaii, on New Year's Eve several times at my sister's house, and she lives up in the Kahala Hills, right? And on New Year's, we just stand up there and we could see fireworks coming from every direction, full-fledged. And
illegal.
I really thought that it was legal because it was crazy. It was beautiful, don't get me wrong. You can see it as far as Kahala to Diamond Head and everything. Everyone had their own shows. That's why I brought it up, because I thought it was legal. Okay, thank you.
May I interject? Oh, of course, sir. Christine, what is your request from the body? How many personnel do you need to respond to the wildlife grass fires and all that stuff?
I can be very conservative. At a minimum, at least 3 more fire crews. I have 3 fire trucks, and my 7 don't fill up those 3 trucks currently. And of the 7, there's no rest. If you want 7-day coverage, what if we do have catastrophe? Fire department is going to respond to all of those medical calls. That's going to pull people from actual active fire operations potentially. And we will be short with just our 7, who are powerful, don't get me wrong. They are amazing. They are the heart and backbone of our division, okay? But if we get at minimum 20 more personnel, that allows firefighter rest and recovery. You know what it's like, Senator, fighting fire in the wildlands. It's energy to get to the fire and then energy to fight that fire. It's not just all from the road. We have to hike in, suppress what we can, and oftentimes our brothers and sisters in the Guam Fire Department are still on houses trying to keep fire back while we're trying to keep it from advancing to the next village. So you don't see us, you don't hear us. So a minimum of 20 more firefighters, and that gives firefighter rest, recovery, training, and with that, all of our fire equipment and supplies are federally funded through the U.S. Forest Service fire assistance grants. And we fought for more money. My leadership kept saying, what else can you get? We got an America the Beautiful, we got a REPI, we got Joint Chiefs. I went aggressively for all these grants, but at some point those grants expire and it falls to the local government to support the local issue, which is wildland fire, and it's not a small issue. So.
No, and I agree with your assessment. Just based on your numbers alone, you guys need at least a 20-man crew here. And I think really this has really highlighted the need to harden a lot of our systems, because if we can't sustain a weekend of fireworks, we don't have a system strong enough to be reliable in a real emergency situation. Just following up on the trial period, I know around the summertime a bunch of the mayor's fiestas and stuff are going along too. Would it be too much of a hassle or burdensome to you guys if we were to potentially expand that trial period so that we could catch the mayor's festivals or the village festivals during the summertime? Yeah, liberation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so just so that we're clear, I just want to, for everybody's edification, the fireworks in Hawaii are actually, consumer fireworks is actually legal, but they do it, as we are recommending, on specific seasons, reading straight from the law, from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. on New Year's Eve. They recognize Chinese New Year's Day, and so forth. So, I mean, that's just right in the law. I just pulled it up. For Guam and the village fiestas, that's year round. You might as well then say it's year round. I mean, so that doesn't quite meet our recommendation of slow rolling this out. There's a lot of other ways to celebrate, and I agree.
So keep it to the big holidays?
Maybe for now.
Okay.
And then if it's something that is viable and something we can respond to and the people like it, ultimately the people are going to tell you what to do and you guys are going to vote for it. So that's our recommendation. I already see this as it's going to happen. I already see it. So now that it's going to happen, let's just do it right.
Chief.
Incrementally, yeah.
Chief, you mentioned earlier that do you have citation power? Every person, every GFD firefighter has.
We have citation power, and it's limited to the fire captains and above.
Christine, do you have citation power?
We will. So the firefighters are your wildland fire enforcement officers, and we're still in that. We're moving towards our training.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Given that, you mentioned earlier that the current fine for, I guess, fire or arson is $100?
Yep.
So what is your request? $1,000?
So we have a schedule of fees that we would like, that we have submitted over many legislatures, and we're going to continue to submit it to this one. I believe it was submitted to you already, Senator. And it's significant.
Okay.
So it's right here, as a matter of fact, is a fee schedule. So thank you for asking. You opened the door, all right? So,
well, that's why I need it on the record.
But that said, again, the fees might seem, a shotgun blast that it's high, but we are also amenable to an incremental 3-year increase of these fees over time to allow businesses to adjust.
Straight on.
But then the fines now, we think that should be an immediate implementation. Because that's just to enforce non-compliant. And I would tell you, especially Jeff and his company are very compliant when it comes to fireworks, and we have no issues. We've never had any issues, especially with Jeff. Those fines, they just apply to those that just don't want to be compliant. And so those are the ones we need to immediately effect as soon as possible.
I recommend my colleague bring this to the table so we can act on it.
No, Chief, going back to your comment about fines and fees, I'm looking at your proposed amendments. Increase of any violation to Bill 9-37, 10% of the bid price. Why 10%? I just kind of bothers me that you're recommending an auction. Raise the license fee. And you watch how many people are going to go for it.
Yeah, so right there we were kind of, as we spoke about this, right, some of the ideas we were shooting out there was, hey, let's just limit it to four licenses to wholesale and have them auction, start at $5,000 and...
Why be at 5? Why don't you come up with a price? If you say if you say it's going to cost, I know exactly what your colleague's saying. If you say it costs you $50,000 to get a license, bottom line, it's $50,000. If you got 10 people, and I'll be surprised if you even get 3, that's willing to put up $50,000 only for seasonal use, maybe lucky if you get 1.
And that's why we were talking 5,000, right? And then all the way up to 50,000 an auction price and see what happens. I think, from a business standpoint, the market will determine eventually, right, who's going to invest. And I already know there's people out there that are willing to put up 100,000 that have spoken to me about it. So
good. Then it should be at 100. The reason why I'm going after is that because when you do this auction, you've got businesses that got more than 100,000. And they might just buy out all, and they just say, I'll give you 100, 100, 100, 100. 5 of you, you're all related to me. We lock it in, all 5 of us. I will fund every storefront you have. Why? Because I'm going to get the pot. It's done. That's why apply for the license, you meet, you're vetted, you clear it, you're good. Now, then I go back to, I see all these fees and fines. Where's the money going? I'm trying to find this where the only time you guys...
So currently our fees and fines all go to the Flame Fund. Fire, life, and emergency, and
at
medical
the end of the
emergency
bill,
fund.
on page 10, you would get the penalty, 1,000, no, fine shall be upon the fire, life, medical, is that what you're talking about, the Flame Fund?
Yes, sir.
But that's only on the 3rd offense. I'm trying to find
Right,
where,
so as
I'm looking through
written here.
all the bills there, and
Yeah.
I don't see you getting a penny until there's a 3rd offense.
So I did state, thank you for that, Senator. I did state that we need a separate section to ensure all funds go to the flame, no matter what offense.
But see, I would, does forestry get involved in that, in the flame fund? Does the
No, they
AG's
don't.
office, does the AG's office get involved? Does public health? I just have to be very careful.
Understood.
I'm not just gonna say, give the fire department, I'm not against the fire, I've always supported you guys. But I'm just saying is that, as the Department of Agriculture is gonna say, we need this, we had a pre-budget meeting with them, and I didn't hear anything about what we need.
Pre-budget meeting?
We know we have pre-budget meetings. We'll probably be having one with the fire department if we didn't have one yet.
Not yet.
Regardless if you have fireworks or not, if you don't say what you need and we try to figure out how to get you the funds, don't come sitting on this table and saying you need something when you never brought it up. Because I'll be the first one to tell you at the budget hearing with Senator Tello, who's my vice chair, you didn't bring it up. Why are you crying now? You need to be ready to talk about it. You say you have a shortage of money, then explain why you have a shortage. And why do you have a bunch of stuff sitting around? And how can you say that you're short of people? Really? I've handled the budget for 5 years. I've heard shortage at agencies, and we've made every effort to ensure they get at least some funds. But the same token, I don't believe we've ever shortened it to the point where you can't hire anybody. If there's nobody listening to the staffing pattern, go talk to your nearest priest, because we're not listening to you because you don't have it written. And that's what we got to look at. I got always have to look at what the requests are, what the needs are. And when you say burn unit, I mean, I can see where Senator Terlaje come from. Why don't we have a burn unit here in Guam? Why do we have to send people off island? I'm just trying to understand all this. And as I look at your amendments and I hear the plea of the Department of Agriculture, and I understand where public health is coming from, sure, doctors are slow, but they're not that slow when they save lives, okay? They're slow in reporting. And the habit is, and you mentioned it earlier, some folks are not going to reveal that I lost my finger, I got burnt because of firework. And some of them will say, and they'll say tomorrow, I burned it, okay, but we move on. But, you know, I like all the, gosh, tell me about everywhere in the world. Tell me it's in California, millions and millions of people, millions of acres. Sure, we're on the top because we're only so small. But you know what? I know for a fact when they have fires out there in the south, I know because they banal so they can eat the fresh grass. I know it's occurred by human nature, but at some point, my concern is that what is the offensive move that they're trying to make? And maybe I'll help them more than I'll help the fire department, because I know for a fact our culture has been short all over the place. It's just that there's just not enough federal money that's coming in to help them. And we need to figure out how to take care of them. Because PPE, when they say they only got one set of uniform, I've never heard anybody ask for funding for our culture to get additional uniform.
If
And there's no need to defense because the record speaks for itself. I have all the notes up there at my office that says what we get, what requests are. And it's just a matter of, let's work with your director and get the requests in so that we'll know what's going on and how we can help you. Because I want to help our culture, no doubt about it. I know a lot of people up there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator San Agustin. Can I just, I'm so sorry. Just to clarify, the forestry staff are equipped. They have the assets, the PPEs. I made sure my team they have options when it comes to PPE. It's the lack of PPEs is supporting the fire department. You know, our brothers and sisters in the fire department who come and help. They assist where they can, and we divide and conquer when it comes to wildland fire. They were lacking the PPEs that they needed. So our grants stretched. It was either buy truck tires for the forestry fire trucks or dedicate that money to PPEs for them. And we've alternated. I made it work. We made it work. We just got to get through the procurement to get you the PPEs we ordered for you. But there's no local support for the forestry team as far as PPEs and assets. We have recently been recognized and brought into the law enforcement arm, so we do get the 18%, but my grants did not cover an 18% increase, so it's one of those, we were so thankful to get it, the staff that is, you know, being recognized under the wildland fire investigations that they do, the fire operations that they conduct, but that 18%, as great as it is, it really impacted if I were to pick up more people, which I have a grant to do, to double our staff under America the Beautiful. But that didn't count for the 18% or the 22 that kicked in, which we're so thankful for. But it means I have to shrink the number we're going to hire because we didn't expect that. Because remember, my grants are written almost a year and a half out before they actually get awarded. So.
Chief Nicolas, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you for the clarification regarding illegal fireworks. You know, the consumer are illegal. The aerials are the illegal. It's the consumer that's legal. Thank you for, and our bill is designed that way. Thank you for, you know, not making sure that the fireworks that you're proposing don't go higher than a certain height, because that is important. The aerials contain much more content, but that is the stuff you're seeing on YouTube, Senator.
Thank you about that, because I even another friend outside, I know GPA's out there that I was talking to, Olimpiaco, and she too thought, you know, in Hawaii it was legal, but now, thank you for clarifying that too.
And it does state in the bill, Jeff, no higher than 130 feet.
130 feet, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so
thank you.
It's addressed in the bill. It's actually,
Yeah.
you know, I have to say, Senator, it's a well-written bill. It does follow a lot of the federal write-up. It's almost copy and paste. I mean,
Yeah.
why mess with something that's already working?
Yeah, but like I said, you know, when I was up there, I was seeing these aerial ones, like from Diamond Head all the way through the whole beach going up, and then we see that in Haget right now. I mean, we see these aerial ones, and we know those will be illegal. So it's just enforcement. I think enforcement is one of the biggest things that we have to concentrate on, you know, and look into the criminal side of it too.
Yeah,
That
we do have GPA for oversight hearing coming up here soon. So I would like to hear from the Attorney General's office and these folks down here, and you know, maybe we could get like a little last round of questions, closing thoughts. So.
Senator, if I might, I was just looking at the Hawaii one, which does allow for the consumer grade. It does have a permit there, but also on the Hawaii Police Department, they do post that without a permit, it's a Class C felony, which could result in up to 5 years in prison. Now, we may need to amend the Guam statutes. That's correct. But as you see, it's not whether they get it. At least there is some deterrence out there in Hawaii for those fireworks and everything. And that's on the you know, Hawaii Police Department webpage. They post that before the holidays. This one, I think, was for the last New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve, Chinese New Year, and July 4th, or other cultural events as appropriate. So in other words, it's on a very limited basis, you know, and so I think we could certainly look to Hawaii and see what works for Guam as well, in terms of whether, it's the Attorney General's office doing more enforcement or whatever, but certainly we're willing to work collaboratively with the fire department, agricultural, and GPD in making sure that the laws are enforced as the legislature sees fit to, should they pass the bill.
All right, and so I guess starting at Senator Tello, do you have any last thoughts? Senator Roy? Senator Joe? Senator Fisher? All right, now I yield to my colleague here for some closing thoughts.
Thank you, everybody, again for showing up. Sir, Mr. Sanchez, thank you, your testimony or your input. Chief and staff, thank you so much, and Attorney Generals, folks, everybody, thank you, ma'am. You guys up there always save our lives up in Cross Island Road, so I want to thank you. Yeah. So I want to thank you for your hard work. I'm a beneficiary of your hard work because where I live, it's a high fire rate, danger rate. So thank you so much for that. Again, I work on incremental successes. There's a reason why I ran, and there's a reason why I got elected, because people actually, I think, want to enjoy their own consumer-grade fireworks. I remember just walking in and buying little pop packs and all that stuff, and I hope to see that happen again for the enjoyment of and the benefit of all on the island, especially our children. So thank you again very much for your input. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, and as per my part, we are going to do what we can so that we can harden our systems so that we can survive a weekend of fireworks here.
Mr. Chair, are we going to be able to have another roundtable this time, bringing customs, this time maybe inviting the ATF and GPD? In the event there is one, I'd request that we bring those other agencies in too as well, if there's another roundtable.
Yeah, if we do end up having another roundtable, we'll make sure to add those extra elements to the roundtable to get their input.
Or can you just request for them to review the bill and give their opinion?
Yeah, that's possible too.
Or we can still have another roundtable.
And with that, this will conclude our discussions on Bill 9-37 COR. The Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance will continue to accept written testimony on today's hearing within 10 business days from today, which will be mailed to my office at 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Suite 905 of the DNA building in Agustin. You may also send your written testimony to my office via email, senatorparkinson@guamlegislature.org. Thank you all for your participation. This public hearing is adjourned, and the time is now 10:30.